Ethan Blackwood was a billionaire who owned everything except peace. 5 years ago, his only son, Noah, was left paralyzed after a brutal car accident. Doctors said he would never move again. Machines kept him alive, but hope slowly disappeared from the mansion. Caregivers came and went. Some were careless, others were cruel. Ethan stopped trusting people, so he did something no father ever wanted to do. He secretly installed hidden cameras in his son's bedroom, not for control, not for curiosity, for protection. Every night, Ethan watched the screens alone in his office, staring at his son lying motionless, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Then a new maid arrived. Her name was Lena. Quiet, gentle. No experience with disabled patients, at least on paper. Ethan didn't care. The cameras would tell him everything. On her very first night, Lena cleaned the room carefully, then stopped. Instead of leaving, she sat beside Noah's bed. Ethan leaned closer to the screen. "What is she doing?" he whispered. Lena reached out and held Noah's hand. Then she spoke words that made Ethan's blood run cold. "I know you can hear me, even if you can't answer." No caregiver had ever said that before. Then, Noah's eyes moved, just slightly, just. Ethan froze. His heart began to race as he leaned closer to the screen. Because something was happening, something the doctor said was impossible. Ethan Blackwood stared at the monitor, barely breathing. Noah's eyes had moved, just once, just enough. Ethan rubbed his face, his hands shaking. "Impossible," he whispered. Doctors had told him there was zero response, zero hope. But the camera didn't lie. On the screen, Lena still held Noah's hand, unaware she was being watched. She leaned closer and spoke softly. "I don't know if anyone tells you this anymore, but you matter." Ethan's chest tightened. Then Lena began telling Noah a story about a little boy who couldn't move, who everyone had given up on, except one person. As she spoke, she gently squeezed his fingers. "Try," she whispered. "Just a little." Seconds passed. Nothing happened. Ethan felt foolish for believing. Then, Noah's finger twitched. Ethan jumped out of his chair. "No, no way!" he gasped. The movement was small, almost invisible, but it was real. Ethan replayed the footage again and again. The next day, he secretly called in doctors. They ran tests.
The results shocked them. Brain activity had increased. Muscle response, weak but present. That night, Ethan returned to his office and watched the cameras again. Lena came in, smiling softly at Noah. She spoke to him like he could hear, like he could feel. And then, Ethan heard something that made his stomach drop. Lena whispered, and then Ethan heard something that made his stomach drop. Lena whispered, "Your father watches you, but he doesn't know how to talk to you." Ethan froze. Did she know? The screen flickered slightly as Lena looked straight toward the corner of the room, toward the hidden camera. Ethan's heart slammed in his chest, because now he wasn't sure anymore. Ethan Blackwood didn't sleep that night. Lena's words echoed in his head. "Your father watches you, but he doesn't know how to talk to you." Had she discovered the cameras, or was it just a coincidence? The next morning, Ethan confronted her. "Why did you say that to my son?" he asked coldly. Lena lowered her eyes. "Because it's true," she said softly. "You watch him like a problem to solve, not like a child who's afraid." Ethan felt the words cut deep. Then she said something that shocked him even more. "Your son hears everything." Ethan's face went pale. "That's impossible," he snapped. "The doctors treat bodies," Lena replied gently. "But souls listen." Ethan dismissed her, but doubt had already entered his heart. That night, Ethan did something he hadn't done in 5 years. He walked into Noah's room. No cameras, no screens, just a father and his son. He sat beside the bed, awkward and afraid. "I don't know how to do this," Ethan whispered, "but I'm here." For the first time, Noah's breathing changed. Tears slowly filled his eyes. Ethan grabbed his hand. "I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to stay with you," Ethan said, voice breaking. And then, Noah's lips moved. Barely, but enough. Dad! Ethan broke down completely. Behind him, Lena quietly watched from the doorway, tears in her eyes. Because the real miracle wasn't the movement. It was the moment a father finally stopped watching and started loving. But the journey wasn't over yet. The hardest test was still coming. The word Dad echoed in Ethan Blackwood's ears long after Noah's lips stopped moving. Doctors rushed in, machines beeped louder than ever, tests were run again, scans repeated, experts flown in overnight. Their conclusion left everyone stunned and Noah's condition hadn't magically disappeared, but his brain was reconnecting, slowly, painfully, miraculously. Therapy sessions began immediately. Every movement hurt, every inch of progress felt impossible. Noah screamed in pain. Ethan cried in silence, but Lena never left his side. She encouraged, she sang. She reminded Noah why he was fighting. One evening, Ethan finally asked the question that had haunted him. "Why do you care so much about my son?" Lena hesitated, then told the truth. Years ago, her younger brother had been paralyzed after a fall. Their family was poor, no billionaires, no miracle machines. She sat by his bed every day, talking to him, believing. One morning, he squeezed her hand. 2 weeks later, he died. "I couldn't save him," Lena whispered, tears falling, "but I won't give up on Noah." Ethan felt something inside him shatter. That night, he made a decision. He walked into the control room and shut off every camera. "I don't want to watch my son anymore," he said quietly. "I want to be with him." Weeks turned into months. Then one morning, Noah's foot moved, on purpose. Ethan fell to his knees. The doctors stared in disbelief, but Lena simply smiled. The room was silent. Every eye was locked on Noah's foot. It had moved, not by accident, not from a machine, by choice. Doctors whispered among themselves, unable to explain what they were seeing. Ethan Blackwood pressed his hand to his mouth, tears streaming down his face. "My son," he whispered, "you did it." Noah's recovery was slow, painful, and exhausting. Some days he wanted to give up. Some days he cried himself to sleep. But every morning, Lena was there. She reminded him how far he had come. She reminded him he was not broken. Months later, Noah did something no one thought possible. He stood, weak, shaking, but standing. Ethan held him as if he might disappear. "I'm proud of you," Ethan said, his voice cracking. For the first time in years, Noah smiled. Soon after, Ethan made an announcement that shocked the world. He shut down one of his luxury projects and donated millions to build a rehabilitation center, not just for the rich, but for families who had nothing. He named it after his son. And Lena. Ethan paid for her medical and therapy education. He hired her as the center's director of patient care.